Welcome back, Moshe Katz, Coffee with Moshe. And here's a nice mug one of our IKI mugs. So again, we make the blessing, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu Melech Shakol Nihya B'Dvaro.
Amen.
Nothing like a cup of coffee to get us started. So I wanted to mention here one of my early influences, a picture that's always with me. And this is Zev Jabotinsky, otherwise known as Vladimir Jabotinsky. Zev Jabotinsky was a Jew from Odessa, and he saw the pogroms, the attacks against Jews, and he began self-defense. You might say he's the early founder of IKI, or of the Israeli Defense Forces, or of all Jewish fighting in the modern era. Here he is in uniform. We could speak for hours about him, which we will. No, we won't for now. Many books have been written by him and about him, and when we have our tour and train trips in Israel, which will resume, God willing, soon, we visit his final resting place, his grave in Israel on Mount Herzl. He was an early advocate for Jewish self-defense. He wrote an article in 1922 in Yiddish, Jews Learn to Shoot. And the idea was Jews have to fight back. We have to fight back for our freedom, for our liberty, and so forth. And he was the colonel, not a colonel in the army, but the originator of the idea in the early years. So his picture's here always. Looking at some artifacts, I finally was able to find my original Kyokushin uniform, which I wore thousands of times probably, worn out, but I save it as a historical monument and relic. This is our early uniform, North American Kyokushin organization, Karate Kyokushin Karate. This is my name in Japanese, as written by Saiko Shiem Shigeru Oyama, may he rest in peace. This is our symbol. This is the only sewing I've ever done in my life. I sewed that on myself, as we were required to do. I sewed together these sleeves, ripped off many times. In fights, the sleeves came off many times, and I did a lot of work on this gi, inside and outside. Very proud of that. So, also found here another old t-shirt, again, bent out of shape by wearing it countless times. One of the names we used in those days, Full Contact Karate Club. This was, of course, Itai Gil. This shirt was worn again and again and again. I had quite a few shirts in those days. So I worked very hard and moved up the ranks slowly with Itai. Freestyle kickboxing, as we called it, survival tactics, whatever. And then the day came where I was told that I was going to be testing for brown belt, which was a great honor and a great challenge. And besides the 3 times a week, 3 hours each time in the dojo in Jerusalem, I devoted myself to fitness and training 15 hours a week on average. Right here, I lived here, or actually I lived down the road. I would jog up and down the street. I would run up and down the street. Esther, who's filming here now, thank you, she helped me with some of the training. I needed somebody to throw around for judo, so I threw Esther around. Because I was teaching kids at the time, I couldn't throw them around. I ran up and down. There's many, many stairs. Near the Rabbinic Academy here, the yeshiva, I ran up and down those stairs. Jump roped, did weightlifting, 15 hours a week of training outside of the 9 hours a week in the dojo. One of the drills I remember best was we live on a hill, a ramp. And I would go to the bottom and I'd run up to the bus stop right up the road here. Those of you who've been here on Tour Trade, you know that right outside my house you make a right and there's a bus stop up the road. And I would go to the bottom of the hill and I would run up. Not jog, I would sprint up. And I'd be out of breath. And I'd be telling myself, imagine that at that bus stop, in just however about the time I need to get there, is the bus coming that's taking me to work where I'm gonna get whatever amount of money. And if I miss that bus, I'm fired. Meaning, I have to be on that bus. There's no way I'm not going to be on that bus. And I'd push myself when I had no strength left, no energy left, to run up to that bus and catch the bus, the imaginary bus. But that was the intensity, that I'd walk down, that was my break. and run back up again. And that was the intensity that I prepared for the brown belt test. But it wasn't enough. When I actually came to the brown belt test, it was so difficult that I wish I had trained more.
You should mention that the run up the road is about half a mile. The sprint up the road.
It could be. I don't know the
It's
distances.
about half a mile from the bottom of Mitzpenavo to the top of Mitzpenavo. It's about half a mile. So sprinting up, it's crazy.
It's very difficult. I worked very hard, and in addition to that, I was doing 40 minutes of jump roping. I worked hard. Now, our tests with Itai Gil consisted of two parts. The first part was technique. You had to demonstrate your kickboxing techniques, your grappling techniques, and your judo techniques. What today might be called MMA, but we didn't have that term in those days. So this was before anybody was doing officially MMA. We were doing it in Israel with Itai Gil, and we called it freestyle. Sigdon Chofshi. And our fights consisted of, we began with kickboxing, boxing gloves, shorts, and just doing all the kickboxing stuff. Then we had grappling fights, and then we had everything combined, which is, again, what we call it today MMA. It was beyond exhausting. And at the end, towards the brown belt test, towards the end, I remember that I couldn't even lift my legs. I couldn't do my roundhouse kick, my low kick as we call it, because I was just so exhausted. I had nothing left but my hands, punches, a little bit of elbow strikes, couldn't do anything else. And I was just running out of gas. And Itai came up to me. He actually looked at a couple of the guys next to him, some of the veterans, and apparently later they told me, he looked at them and said, "Does Moshe have anything left?" And they looked and they nodded their heads and said, "No, he's got nothing left. To be continued."